What happened to the class of flying? Is the question we are going to answer today. What's up, guys? It's your boy the Muncher here, and I am sick of airlines turning into public buses, where people take their smelly feet and place it wherever, where hair goes over the back of a seat, where fights erupt like a bus in middle school, and the worst of the worst, people just aiming anywhere on a toilet seat and lid. I genuinely hate this. To understand this deeper, before I start how the airline industry has a plan to this, I am going to be talking about etiquette in class. Hang in there because this all connects at the end. The 18th century is where people started to turn from savages into gentlemen, where not a person would just get completely killed for insulting someone else, and people developed a strong sense of mutual respect and morality, and essentially you just want to live as long as you can with some dignity, and this lasted a pretty long time. This was probably the peak of this kind of class, between the 1950s and the 1970s, and then the Vietnam War hippies came and less fear over time of the Cold War. This change made societal construct unstable and non-uniform. Rebellious young Americans wanted to be the change and voice against the war and created their own style, including crazy haircuts and colors, new clothes, and literally everything. But workplaces still had to recruit from the new generation. Instead of maintaining strict societal codes as before, they caved into supply and demand. And this is the moment where class began to die. Less and less, society stopped shaming each other and started accepting everything, which each generation of adults negatively judging the younger one for doing what they did. Now we have people wearing tank tops with their nasty sweat dripping down the airplane seat. And many of us today just cringe thinking about that now. But maybe in just 10 years, you can't even say that anymore because of cancel culture, or just because it's accepted as a norm. So how does this begin to relate to the airline industry? Well, at least in America, airlines are greedy corporations that absolutely love to profit off of anyone. For example, in the 1950s, overbooking became fairly common by the end of the decade. So even if a person buys their seat and misses their flight, the airline will take that guy's money who missed the flight and the money of the person who replaced him in the same seat. You see what I mean? Greedy. And then fast food opened up, decreasing more standards and overall quality. So the airlines decided to put out crappier food, and it made it cheaper for mass production. And that's where all the airline jokes about shitty food came from, because societal standards just dropped that much, and people didn't see this happening right in front of their eyes. It just worked so much better for the entire airline industry because of cutting costs, and then it got even worse. What is another way to cut costs even more? Make legroom shorter! In the 1970s, the seat pitch was estimated between 33 and 38 inches, depending on the plane and the seat, of course. Now the average seat pitch is around 28 to 32 inches, which is significantly different. What sucks is that the seat challenge happened because of deregulation. Humans are growing taller and the seat pitch is getting smaller. On the bright side, at least, the average seat was slightly increased. Because of these overall legroom changes, more seats were pushed onto the aircraft, making the route more profitable. Because price fixing and monopolies are illegal, thus increasing competition, this leads to the major change where flying is not so expensive anymore. When a person has a lot of wealth or money, you imagine this image. Somebody dressing very elegantly and are potentially fat because that's how much money they have. Now that flying is affordable to everyone, and the general public has significantly worse standards than decades before, it created the flying experience we have today. The general public and the airline are completely to blame for this, because they both got too comfortable over time and they just established this horrible standard of flying. And sometimes the Amtrak or the Brightline trains even feel more luxurious at this point. And the only way to fix any of this is not through the general public but the airline itself. The general public, once they're comfortable, they do not want to go back to class. The airlines need to start offering a luxury experience including outstanding service, not for a cost but included in the standard price. That will create a brand image where the general public feels that you have to portray a certain style. And that airline could kick anybody off the plane for not portraying that class. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you do want to see more aviation content and things along the line, drop a sub and leave a comment. Like this video to see more random shit.